Welcome back to one of the Bears Travel Plays YouTube channel. Today is Sunday, September 29th, and I'm back breaking down a full Sunday slate of games for the NFL this weekend. A lot of tough matchups this weekend, some really good games between a couple teams, tough reads on what side to pick. I think I've got some really good plays, though, for today. We're going to be looking at 3 games on the graphic side. We have 3 total player props as well, and then we're going to break down 2 more game picks toward the end of the video. Hope everybody enjoys their Sunday, and let's break down some ball. All right, guys, take a look at the plays for Thursday night before we get into the Sunday's games. What is it? Good teams win, great teams cover. I don't even know if Dallas is good. -5.5 against the Giants. Brandon Aubrey, first 50-plus field goal missed of his career. We make history. That's okay. We won both the player props. Winning day. I'm going to try to stay positive, even though Dallas is a dumpster fire this year, and I know it. 2-1 on Thursday. 0-1 on the game pick, 2-1 on the player props. On a pretty good run with the player props here. We're going to try to go undefeated today. I got a good feeling about today. Some tough games today, but I think I got to read on all of them. For the first play, Eagles going on the road to face off against the Buccaneers. I don't know what's going on with this spread right now, but it makes no sense whatsoever. I feel like Tampa Bay have been pretty good this season. They're coming into this game with only one loss, just like the Eagles. The Eagles, good team. Let me get it out there. I'm a Cowboys fan. The Eagles are good. I think both these teams have been very competitive in their first 3 games. I don't see a lot of difference talent-wise, team by team, if everybody's healthy, but the Eagles are coming into this game as one of the unhealthiest teams in the NFL. They don't have Devontae Smith. He took an ugly shot last week against the Saints. They most likely won't have A.J. Brown. He was limited at practice this week. I don't think he's going to play either, but with those 2 guys out, I don't see how the Eagles stretch the ball down the field. I guess they can run the ball 30-plus times with Barkley, but I'm going to take the Buccaneers here. I think they can clog some holes in the run game. This is one of those games that it doesn't make any sense. The line, I think if you were going to take the Eagles here, it'd be considered the sharp play, but I can't do it. I can't do it with those 2 wide receivers out. I'm taking the Bucs here plus 2.5 at home. I think the biggest thing in this game is going to be up front for the Eagles. If they can get pressure on Mayfield on the defensive side, they could win this game. But looking at the injury report, Tampa Bay doesn't have anybody really out besides Vita Vea. He's doubtful in this game, but he is practicing right now this week. So I'm not sure if anybody for Tampa Bay is going to miss this game. They're also missing their right tackle, but they've been without him for a couple games now. But this line doesn't make any sense. I like Baker Mayfield. I like the Tampa Bay team. It's not a play against the Eagles. I just think they're banged up right now. They're obviously the better team in this NFC East division, but I just don't think they can win this game with the banged up players they have. So I'm going to take the Buccaneers here, plus 2.5 as the play. Final score 23-27. Eagles fight, but Tampa Bay takes it. For the next play, we're going to be looking at the Rams going up against the Chicago Bears. Last week, if you remember, we took the Rams to win that game outright against the 49ers. We also took them plus 6.5 in what was a really good game. Whenever we were breaking down, I said Sean McVay was going to try to throw everything at the 49ers. Maybe we see some fake punts. That's exactly what happened. And Matthew Stafford, they kept him in the game. Fourth quarter, Matthew Stafford took over. In this game, you'd think they'd have a better chance going up against the Bears. But the Bears defensively, they've been good this season. I do think Caleb Williams can move the ball up and down the field against this team. I'm going to take the Bears here, minus 2.5 as the play. I think they get a big home win, take them to 2-2 on the season. And we talked about those injuries in the last game. The Los Angeles Rams, it feels like every year they're dealing with some injuries. They're going to be without their 2-star wide receivers again in this game. Last week, the Rams, they did have some pretty good success on the ground against the 49ers, but this Bears defense up front, I think they can get the job done at stopping the run. That's going to force Matthew Stafford to make some decisions down the field. A couple turnovers by Matthew Stafford, and this game might get out of hand pretty early for the Rams because defensively they've been pretty bad all season long. I do think the Rams are a very frisky team, but they're just so injury prone right now. It's just luck of the draw. It feels like every year for the Rams and the Chargers, both those teams always dealing with injuries. They had their big win last week. They threw everything at the 49ers. I don't think they can duplicate that kind of performance on the road here. I'm going to take the Bears. Caleb Williams, he's going to have himself a big day getting Keenan Allen back. Minus 2.5 has to play. Caleb Williams last week, 300-plus yards. He does it again in this game. 17-27 in favor of the Bears. And for the final graphic play, before we get into some player props and some other picks towards the end of the video, we're taking the Commanders and the Cardinals game. Maybe the biggest surprise of the season has been this Washington Commanders team. If you put a gun to my head and said which rookie quarterback was going to be better, I'd probably say Williams, but Daniels has been better this season so far. He's looking really good right now for the Commanders. He made a lot of plays last week with his arm. He's been making a lot of plays with his leg. This team has now scored 11 consecutive times whenever they're on the field, so that needs to be talked about a little bit more. I don't know how that's not being talked about. I'm going to take the Commanders plus 3.5 in this game. This line seems like a little bit backwards. Commanders coming off that big win against the Bengals. Cardinals last week losing to the Lions. I guess I understand that the Cardinals being the favorite. They're at home. They are an explosive team. They're very frisky this year, just like this Commanders team. But the defense on both sides, they've been dreadful, especially the Commanders. If you don't want to take a risk in this game pick, I think the over is a really good play here as well. But I'm going to take the Commanders here to cover plus 3.5 and win this game. Again, I don't know why it's not being talked about the Commanders offense. 11 consecutive scoring drives. We never see that from this Commanders team. And to maybe put a little bit of a knock on his play last week, the Bengals secondary is atrocious. So if he didn't tear them apart, something's definitely wrong. But I don't think this Cardinals secondary is very good either. I think the Commanders can keep this game close. I think they can actually win this game outright. So I'm going to take them with the points here. 31-30 in favor of the Commanders. And yeah, NFC East might be loaded minus the Giants and the Cowboys. Let's take a look at some player props for today. We're going to start with the Vikings going up against the Packers. Aaron Jones over 59.5 yards on the ground against his former team. I didn't really see the upside of the Packers getting Josh Jacobs, trading away Aaron Jones. Really didn't feel like that was much of an upgrade. Maybe they're just worried about the injury history with Aaron Jones. But so far, so good for the Vikings. They found themselves another running back. He's the best running back they've had since prime Dalvin Cook. And in his last game, going up against the Texans, 19 carries, 102 yards on the ground. I do think it's going to be a pretty competitive game. Jordan Love looking like he's going to play in this one. All things pointing to him playing on Sunday. So we should see a tight contest the entire way through. No blowout, most likely, and 60 yards on the ground going up against the Packers defense. Doesn't seem like a lot, especially with the way the Vikings have been running the ball this year. I like the revenge spot here for Aaron Jones. Give me the over 59.5 rushing yards. And I also like him to score a touchdown, but I'm not going to take it. But if you are going to take anytime touchdowns today, Aaron Jones, make sure he's on one of your bet slips. For the next play tomorrow, we're going to be looking at the Panthers going up against the Bengals. I'm going to grab Deontay Johnson, the former Steelers wide receiver, to go over 62.5 receiving yards against the Bengals. This has potential to be a really good game for Deontay Johnson, coming off his first 100-yard game in what feels like forever with his new team in the Panthers. We saw him perform well going up against the Raiders last week because the Red Rifle, he's under center for the Panthers now. Andy Dalton, he's getting a revenge spot for himself against his former team of the Bengals. It's hard not to love Andy Dalton. He's a very likable guy, and I do think they're going to have a lot of success in this game going up against this Bengals secondaries who got torched against Daniels and the Commanders last year. This Panthers defense, they're really nothing special either. They're not good, they're not bad, they're just average. The Bengals, they won't have any trouble going up and down the field against them as well. The Panthers, most likely going to give up 28-plus points in this game, but it's very possible Andy Dalton, the way he looked last week, can have another 300-plus yard game. I like him to sling it. Give me Deontay Johnson over 62.5 receiving yards as the second play. And for the final play, we're looking at that Commanders and Cardinals game. I'm going to take Kyler Murray. I think he's going to go over his rushing yards if you want to play that one, but I'm going to take his over 1.5 passing touchdowns as well. I think it's fair to say Joe Burrow on the season has not been a very good quarterback. He looked like a top 3 quarterback last week against that Commanders team, but I'm still not sold on Joe Burrow yet. I might be foolish for saying that, but ever since that Super Bowl run, what has he done for this team? Clearly, he's a good quarterback. I get that. I'm saying over the last couple seasons, though, with his injuries and with the way he's been playing, the way his team's been playing, I don't think you could put him in that top 5 category. And what he did against the Commanders, I think Kyler Murray can do the exact same thing through the air. This should be a very high-scoring game. Kyler Murray has been good in 2 of the 3 games so far this season, especially throwing the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. This has a chance to be a high-scoring game. One, I think the Commanders will win outright, but I think Kyler Murray can do what Joe Burrow did last week. Give me his over 1.5 passing touchdowns as the play there. Let's go look at some other plays for tomorrow. We have 2 more plays to talk about. First one is going to be the Panthers. I think they're going to keep on rolling against the Bengals, plus 4.5 as the play. There's a pretty good chance that the Bengals get off the mat and finally get their first win of the season because they have started the season off three losses in a row, but everybody else is thinking that as well, which means everybody else is going to be betting on the Bengals to cover the 4.5 points. Sharp money in the NFL, that typically wins. I think this is going to be a sharp play. Take at the Panthers plus 4.5. There's a scenario this season that the Cincinnati Bengals, they're just not a good team. They haven't been great defensively. The offense has had a lot of struggles in some of their games, and contract negotiations has kind of gotten in the way of this team's chemistry. Do you know what team is not struggling with some chemistry right now? That would be the Carolina Panthers. I'm sure Bryce Young is a little bit hurt, but he gave Andy Dalton that big hug in the locker room after the game. The Panthers, they celebrated like they won the Super Bowl beating the Raiders last week. This is a dangerous team. You don't want to give bad teams hope, and Andy Dalton just gave this team a full plate of hope last week. I think they can knock off the Bengals. I think everybody and their mother and their grandmother and their cats and dogs are going to be on the Bengals, minus 4.5 to get their first win. Panthers are going to win this game outright. I'm taking the Panthers plus 4.5 as the play. And for the final play, we're going to be breaking down Sunday Night Football. Have to do it. This is a game I really wouldn't touch if it wasn't such a big game, kind of like that Louisville-Notre Dame game yesterday in college football. We took Notre Dame because the line didn't make any sense. It worked out yesterday. Notre Dame covering the spread. I'm going to do the same thing on Sunday Night Football. Ravens minus 2.5 as the play against the Bills. Again, probably not a game I'm going to put a full unit on, maybe a half unit, maybe a full pass, but the hungry dog runs faster when it's hungry. You can say that with this Ravens team because I think they're good. The Bengals, they're just simply not good. So they're not a hungry dog. There's no reason for Buffalo to be the underdog in this game. They look like the best team in the NFL. I don't care what the power rankings say. Having the Chiefs as the number one power ranking team is a disaster. The Kansas City Chiefs, they're lucky to have 3 wins. They should have 2 losses, and the Bills have looked like the best team in football so far. The Ravens last week, big win against the boys. I think this team leans on the running game, and they could take advantage of that Bills rush defense. Give me Lamar Jackson. Give me Derrick Henry. Give me the Bills to drop their first game of the year. Ravens minus 2.5 as the last play. Full recap. Tampa plus 2.5. Bears minus 2.5. Commanders plus 3.5. Panthers plus 4.5. Ravens minus 2.5. If you're feeling froggy, Panthers, Commanders, Tampa, all money line in a parlay. I think they all win outright. Aaron Jones over 59.5 rushing yards against the Packers. Deontay Johnson over 62.5 rushing yards against the Bengals. And Kyler Murray over 1.5 passing touchdowns against the Commanders. Guys, that's going to do it for the NFL Plays and Props for Sunday, September 29th slate of games. If you guys enjoyed the content, please share, drop a like on this video, and subscribe down below. See you guys next video, and thanks for watching.